Bright Cutie. Every student matters.
Hello everyone. Now students, we were talking about the working of federalism in India. Now in this topic, we talked about two important things here. Now what were those important things? We talked about the formation or creation of linguistic states. We also talked about language policy. Am I correct? Yes, we discussed about these two important points here. Now, let us have a look at the maps of India before and after the independence of our country. Now, when we are talking about independence, it means that we are talking about pre-partition India and post-partition India. So, with the map, we will be able to understand the changes that happened in our country, the geographical changes, let's say, that happened in our country before and after the partition of our country into two countries here, right? So, let's have a look at this map here, students. This is the map of India in 1947, right? So, before independence, what was the scene, and after independence, what were these international boundaries that were carved out in the map? Let us try to understand that. So, map of India in 1947. Now, when we are talking about 1947, so arrangements were still made in our country. Now, you all know that when we are talking about the British rule here, so there was the British Crown as the head, and the whole region here, it was under British India. We also had princely states that were ruled under the kings or the princes in different areas. We also had provinces, right? So, all these important points can be located in the map. Am I correct or not? Let's say Hyderabad, one princely state here, Kashmir, apart from that Junagadh, apart from that many other regions that were the princely states of our country. Now, the grey region here, this denotes the large princely states that were not acceding either in our country or upon independence, right? They wanted to create their own independent countries or states. Now, look at this region, students. This is the region of West Pakistan here. We all know that in 1947, Pakistan as a new country was created. But look at this region, the present day region of Bangladesh. We also know that a liberation war was fought in the year 1971, and the region came to be known as Bangladesh. But before that, this region was known as East Pakistan. Now, why are we calling it as East Pakistan? Based on the Muslim population that lived in this region. But here, are you understanding the whole scenario, the geographical location here? The boundaries, how they have changed when we look at the present day map of our country. So, throughout independence or after that, the boundaries of states changed. Now, let us have a look at this another map here. Now, when we are talking about the present day map of our country, you can see the clear-cut division, the clear-cut boundary of our country here, right? So, as I am pointing out, look at the boundary of our nation. Okay, this is the southern region here. This is the southern region here, right? Now, creation of new states based on linguistic division. Now, how are we going to relate to our previous topic here? We learned that new states were created on the basis of language spoken in that particular region. Now, do you remember the year when the states were reorganized? It was in the year 1956. So, a commission was formed in the year 1954, and finally in the year 1956, the states were reorganized on the basis of languages spoken in that particular region. Right? So, Haryana was carved out of Punjab. Let's have a look at this map again. Now, do you see the region of Haryana? This is the small region of Haryana here. So, it was carved out of Punjab. So, this region was one state there. But Haryana, it was created based on the linguistic division. Apart from that, creation of states based on culture, ethnicity or geography. Now, look at the creation, the changes in the boundaries here that is happening after the independence of our country. So, Nagaland was created in the year 1963, right? It got independent and a whole new state was created. So, this happened in the year 1963. This is the region of Nagaland. Apart from that, many other new states were created, students, right? Goa, apart from that, many other regions were there. But in the year 2000, what do we see? We see that 3 new states were created, and these were the states of Uttarakhand, that was carved out from present-day Uttar Pradesh. Then Jharkhand, that was divided from the region of Bihar, the state of Bihar. And here is Chhattisgarh, right? So these 3 new states were created in the year 2000. Now, based on culture, ethnicity, geography of all these regions. Again, if we look at the latest changes that have happened in the map of our country. So, in the year 2014, if you all have seen the news, you must remember that Telangana was a new state that was formed, right? From which region here? Taking out the regions of Andhra Pradesh, right? So, Telangana was a new state formed in the year 2014. Now, if I ask you the latest changes that have happened in our country in the year 2019, what is the latest change that has happened here? So, the latest change is the creation of 2 union territories, right? And these territories are Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Now, Jammu and Kashmir as a whole is no more a state. The special status that we talked about, right, when we were talking about the special provisions, so the special status of Jammu and Kashmir is no more valid. The whole article has been scrapped in the year 2019. So, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are now 2 separate union territories. Now, you can see that how these things are happening. The changes, the ratification or the amendments that have been brought, right? So these all changes justify the idea of federalism that has been practiced in our country, right? So also, students, it shows the sharing of the power, right? It is only with the help of central government as well as state governments that all these changes are taking place in our country. Right? So, no single state has the allowance or has the whole power to secede from the country or to form their own independent state or country, let's say, right? As we can see in United States of America, where we follow the true federalism nature there, right? Apart from this, there are 22 officially recognized languages. Again, when you learnt about the language policy, we also talked about the scheduled languages, students, right? So that has been mentioned in the 8th schedule, right? So all these languages, they have been recognized as regional languages, to give them to lawfully accept or recognize these regional languages. And how many languages are there? 22 officially recognized languages. Now, Sindhi language was added in the year 1962 in the 8th schedule. 71st Amendment, a new change or the formal announcement that happened in the year 1992, in which Konkani, Manipuri and Nepali were the languages that were added. In 2003, Bodo, Dogri, Mathili and Santhali were the important languages, the regional languages that were added, and now they were officially recognized languages. So we can see that how different cultures they are assimilating together, how they are being officially recognized in our constitution, and how all these people they are accommodating with each other. Okay? So this is how the federalism is being has been working in our country, India. Now, another important topic under this heading is center-state relations. Now, when we are talking about federalism, students, definitely we have to understand the power sharing that is taking place between the center and state. Now, when we talk about the proper functioning of federalism, what do we understand by that? It means that a true and ideal system, federal system, can only be worked out when the political parties they work accordingly, right? According to the established system. They work according to the established system. Am I correct or not? Yes. So when we are talking about power sharing or center-state relations in federal country, we are talking about the relationship between the political parties, the leaders that is sitting in the leaders that are sitting in the center or in the state, and what is their relationship, right? And how this federalism, the idea of federalism is working here. So here we are going to take the example of the year that is 1990, right? So our base year is 1990. We are going to understand how the scenario changed after 1990 and what was the scenario before the year 1990. Okay? So before 1990 in our country, same party ruled both at center and in states. So what are we seeing here? The Congress party, as you all must have heard the name, right? So when we are talking about after independence, students, now in British India also, you must be aware that INC, that is Indian National Congress, was the major party, right? So post independence also, we see that Indian National Congress or the Congress party, they were ruling both at the center and in majority of the states, right? So they were having full control of the government. So this was the scenario before 1990. So sometimes what happened, the party that is Congress party, they were not allowing these regional parties to come up to challenge them or to challenge their power. So they were also misusing the constitution by using the article 356. Now, are you aware of this article that is 356? So this article is related to the President's rule, the imposition of President's rule in the states when there is a scenario of emergency, right, students? So when you will go in upper classes, you will learn about three important articles here that is related to emergency. One is Article 352, another is 356, and the next one is 360, that is the financial emergency. So here what are we seeing? That Article 356 was being misused by the dominant party here, that is the Congress party. So what are they trying to do here? They are trying to suppress the parties that are coming up in different states. Why? Because they wanted to impose their rule there. They wanted to have full control over the government. Now, you see what is happening here? When at the center as well as at the state level, when we have the same government, we see that they try to be more authoritative. They try to have full control of the government. right? So you have to remember this point here. Now all these regional parties that were trying to win elections, now they posed a serious threat to the Congress party. Why? Because after 1990, the whole scenario started changing. So after 1990, many regional parties came up in different states like DMK, TDP and Akali Dal. Akali Dal, that is in Punjab, Tamil Nadu, DMK. So basically, we see that many regional parties. Now, when we are talking about regional parties here it means that we are talking about the state parties, right? So these state parties, they started coming up and they started challenging the ruling party, that is the Congress party. Now, the rise of regional parties, it posed a serious threat to the Congress party. Definitely, students, because they thought that they could easily suppress by using some of the articles or the powers of constitution. But was that the scenario after 1990? No. So this was the era of coalition government. We are also seeing that people were also not that happy of the power that was being misused by the Congress party. So definitely they wanted to give chance to some other parties that were now emerging. So this era was known as the era of coalition government. Now, have you heard the term that is coalition government? When we are talking about the coalition government, it means that when any party, let's say Congress party, when any party does not have a majority in Lok Sabha elections, the general elections that take place every 5 years, students. So if they do not have any majority, what they have to do? They have to make alliance with 2 or 3 parties in order to gain majority. So what is happening here? If any party, for example Congress party does not have majority in the Lok Sabha elections. So Congress party will try to make an alliance with all the other small parties that we are talking about, right? So these smaller parties and Congress party are going to come together. They are going to form a majority in order to win the election and form the ruling party or the government. So such type of parties or government or coalition alliance is known as coalition government. So a government formed by alliance of 2 or more parties. In very simple terms, you have to understand this. So after 1990, there is coming up of these coalition government, and it led to the sharing of power between different groups here. Definitely, students, now all these parties, they had to come together, they had to work together, they had to accommodate the opinions of one another here, right? So here we see the concept of power sharing, okay? So these are some important points that you need to remember. So like I told you, no single party, they got a majority in Lok Sabha. Regional parties, now eventually they grew in stature and power, right? So definitely the importance of regional parties, it grew after some time. So culture of power sharing and respect for state governments led by regional governments. Now this was a new culture that was developing here. Apart from this, what happened? That after this also, we see that the central government, they were trying different measures in order to stop the regional parties, right? So, after a lot of pressure, the government has had to form a commission that was known as Sarkaria Commission, right, students? So, Sarkaria Commission was formed under the chairmanship of Justice R.S. Sarkaria, and it was formed in the year 1983. Now you must be thinking, why was this commission formed after all? So the commission was formed to work or to give an agreement or some report on center-state relations. Now we are seeing that before 1990, how the relationship between the center and the state is jeopardizing, right? How it is declining. So they had to come out with some good solution. Therefore, a commission was formed and it worked on the center-state relations. Apart from that, some of the other judgments of Supreme Court. So Supreme Court had given some important judgments. These judgments were related to the center-state relationship as well as the idea that regional governments or the state governments cannot be suppressed by the central government, which the Congress party or any dominant party in that particular time was trying to do, right? So these were some of the ideas or recommendations that were brought down by the Sarkaria Commission. Now coming to our exercise section here, you'll find one question related to this topic, that is, what was the main objective of Sarkaria Commission? So just now you read about Sarkaria Commission here. When we are talking about Sarkaria Commission, just mention 2 points that I have told you right now. So it was formed under the chairmanship of Justice R.S. Sarkaria, and based on that the name of the commission was kept, and it was formed in the year 1983. The main objective, coming to our question here, the main objective was to give recommendations on center-state relations and other judgments of Supreme Court, which you can mention that the central government did not have the authority to suppress or to totally abolish the state government, right? So these were some of the important judgments of Supreme Court, and it was now seen by or reviewed by the Sarkaria Commission. So main idea was to work on the center-state relations and look over or review the judgments made by the Supreme Court. So this is how you're going to answer this question here. Thank you.